All right, people, how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Welcome to Choco Millionaire. Welcome to Choco Millionaire. I'm hoping the connection is coming good. Let me know where you're watching from. I will be covering a number of issues here, and I hope that it'll be information that is probably important to somebody out there. So yeah, welcome to Choco Millionaire. Welcome to Choco Millionaire. Okay, yeah. Give me one moment here. I'm trying to make sure that everything is clear and you guys can see everything. Okay. Where are you? Desmond, you're connecting from Spain. Thank you for connecting. You're Moses Mwaura, you're watching from Kenya. You're watching from Kenya. Ubeidulahi Al-Hassan, you're watching from Nigeria. Olajimoke from Lagos. Walker Manuel from Ghana. Walker D. Manuel. All right. So let me start off with some update from the IRCc. So a few months ago, I did a video mentioning that there are plans, or there are conversations, I should say, there are conversations around reducing the number of international students that are coming into the country, especially international students coming to study. Even though it was not something that was confirmed, the Minister for Immigration has hinted that again in an interview with CTV, that is actually something that they are exploring. So you know what? I want us to take that a little bit more serious, because this is the second time he's actually mentioned that. I want us to take that serious. Okay. Now, before I even go into the details of that, let me start off by talking about an area that we are seeing quite a significant reduction of international students. All right. Now, India continues to be the largest country, or the country with the largest international student representation here in Canada. Not just in Canada, India actually top all the global north countries, the western countries here when it comes to international students. The number of Indians in Canada studying is actually more than the number of Indians in any part of the Western world studying. So Canada continues to be a place that Indians study a lot. That said, we are noticing a serious decline in the enrollment numbers for students from India in the last few months. In the last few months, we are noticing a serious decline. So I'm going to just pull up the data and then read that for you. Okay, just give me one moment here whilst I get all of that ready. I hope you're doing fine. This is a live broadcast, so nothing is already prepared. All right, guys. So if you look at the last report that came for the number of enrollments or visas issued for India, we are noticing almost half a reduction in percentage for India. the number of Indians that have gotten their visas approved have dropped significantly if you compare it to the last quarter of 2022. So if you compare the quarter of 2023, all right, the last quarter of 2023 to the last quarter of 2022, there is an almost 50% decline in the volume of visas issued to India. We don't know the exact reason here. We can speculate. None of it is factual, but we can put in some speculations together. Some theory can say that, well, this is the first indication that the government is actually reducing the number of international students who are coming into the country. That could be the first speculation, all right? So they've started with India, since India is probably the largest, is the largest representation here for international students. So they started with India. That could be one of the theories there, or speculation. The second theory could say that Indian students are also, international students from India are fed up with the government of Canada, that many of them are here, what they were promised is not what they're getting. The value of education they were promised is not what they're getting. They were promised so much and so much and so much quality education. As they are here, they are not getting it. They are being ripped off. If you watch the news, Indians have complained about so many aspects of Canada's immigration that it is not as vibrant as they were promised. It is not what they were promised. So therefore, somebody can make the case that because of that, Indian students are beginning to look at other countries to actually study instead of Canada. That could be one of the theories there. All right. Now, the next theory could also be that the recent rift or tension between India and Canada, where an Indian Canadian Punjabi was assassinated in Canada, may also potentially play a role in the reduction of the number of students coming. That probably, you guys may have heard it, that a gentleman, a Punjabi Canadian who is from India, was assassinated somewhere in summer, and it's created a huge diplomatic tension between India and Canada. Now, I had actually predicted that there was going to be a reduction in the number of enrollment from India. If you remember that video, I actually predicted that either Canada was actually going to pause admissions from India or visas issuance to Indian nationals who are coming to study, or there will be a drastic reduction. I predicted that, right? So I'm not surprised that the volume has gone down. What I cannot say for sure is whether the diplomatic tension between India and Canada may have played a direct role in this. Now, even if it does, I don't expect the government of Canada to come out and announce it publicly. That is not what diplomatically they will do. They may not say it, but they may just make decisions of reducing the volume. You understand? Now, will it make sense for them to reduce the volume from India, which is the largest international student representation in Canada? Maybe yes, maybe not. The international student industry generates about $24 billion. It generates about $24 billion. $24 billion to the government of Canada on annual basis. So that is an industry that cannot be joked with. Now, aside from that, about 50% of these international students actually come from India, and the rest from other countries. So if you reduce the numbers, potentially it could have an impact on your it could have an impact on the revenue generation for Canada, isn't it? It could potentially have an impact, right? It could potentially have an impact, isn't it? All right, now let's assume that from a revenue perspective, it's been looked at and then they decided that, you know what, we're still going to go ahead and cut. What could be the main reason why they would do that? I think the recent development we had in the United States versus India, where the US actually confronted Canada and accused them with an evidence that they have caught an Indian national based in the USA who was hired by allegedly hired by a government official in India to actually also assassinate another person who is of an Indian origin in the USA, could have also played a role. For those who haven't followed, there is a similar situation in the US where an attempted assassination is alleged to have been plotted against an Indian national who is not in good standing with the government of India. And the allegation suggests that a top government official from India is part of this. So somebody can argue that the similar accusation that Canada brought against India is the same allegation that or accusation or charge that USA is bringing against India. However, the US has been a little bit more concrete by gathering the evidence and confronting India with it. So therefore, maybe these two countries, or maybe Canada, is taking a cue from that to say, you know what, let's reduce the intake since we are over-relying on this country, India. That could be a reason. That could be a reason. I don't know for sure, but I'm just speculating. There could be so many reasons for that, right? I will not be surprised if this India-Canada rift is playing a role in the reduction of international student enrollment from India. Now, once student enrollment is reduced, it's either it is feeding into the overall reason or plan of the government reducing international enrollment, or they may be reallocating those visa approvals to other countries, such as maybe, maybe Africa or other continents like Africa, where we recently have seen quite a spike in the volume of visa approvals from Africa. Countries like Nigeria are ahead, or they've actually made significant gains in the last few months or in the last 1 or 2 years in terms of visa approvals, right? Significantly, Nigeria has gone up in the percentages. The second country that has also gone up in percentages is Ghana. Not just Ghana as well. Ghana has also seen a dramatic rise in the visa approval rate, or the volume of people who are actually getting visas from Africa. Then you go to countries like Senegal. Senegal is also one of the countries that is also really racking up visas when it comes to studying in Canada or migrating to Canada. So therefore, you can make the distinction that whilst they are probably reducing in India, then they may be looking at other countries and probably be issuing visas to other corridors there. All right. So that's the first part there. The second aspect I also want to focus on is the fact that the minister also hinted that they may be taking a regional or provincial approach to reducing capping means putting a cap on the volume of international students that are coming. They might do it from a provincial level. How? What do they mean? Canada is made up of 10 provinces and 3 territories. Provinces are tasked with the mandate to actually regulate post-secondary education and design or create a regime of compliance and all of that, so that it can feed into the immigration plans and targets at the federal level. What the federal government seems to be suggesting is that most provinces in Canada are not doing their part. How? They are not making sure that schools are compliant. They are not making sure that schools are actually making sure that they are admitting the number of students that they are able to support to also transit or to transition to Canada and get accommodation or get their housing issues sorted out. So you are admitting so many students who are paying so much in dollars, thousands of dollars, Canadian dollars, and then when they come in, they are stranded. They can't find a place to stay, and then they create all this kind of public PR, right, which is negative PR for the government at the federal level of immigration, you know. So what the minister hinted is a possibility that certain provinces will be seeing a decline in visa approval until those provinces begin to take steps to regulate and to make sure that institutions that are accredited or DLI, designated learning institutions, are actually given or are actually making sure that schools are compliant, schools are having a proper framework to make sure that the number of students they bring in are giving the needed support to transition into Canada as international students. The biggest transition problem has been accommodation or housing issues. And Canada, as we speak, has a major housing issue or deficit across the entire country. And so therefore, I will not be surprised if provinces such as Ontario, which receive the most visa approvals, British Columbia, and probably maybe you can throw in maybe Quebec, right? If these provinces are hit, I will not be surprised at all. I will not be surprised if Ontario sees a massive decline. Now, this could also be good news for those of you who have applied or who have applied for schools or applied for visas to provinces that are not the most vibrant or the most populated. Provinces like New Brunswick, provinces like Newfoundland, provinces like Prince Edward Island, provinces like, name them. Maybe some of you have applied. It is possible that those provinces will actually be getting or seeing more visa approval, since we are not having the severity of housing crisis in those areas as compared to the top 3 provinces in Canada: Ontario, British Columbia, and Quebec. So therefore, if you are yet to apply, it could also, feed into your strategizing. For example, if you are the type who knows that, hey man, your resources are not enough and you're coming here, you want to make sure that you do a little bit of research. You want to make sure that you actually prepare. If you're coming in and you don't have the money here and you're coming here, it definitely will escalate the problem of housing in Ontario, British Columbia, and a few other provinces. Rent is a little bit cheaper in other provinces, like say Alberta, in other provinces. So I wouldn't be surprised if Alberta actually sees a lot more international students visa approval. Why? Because in the last few months or 1 year, Alberta has actually seen a lot of people moving there because of affordability. Alberta is extremely affordable as compared to almost all the provinces here in Canada. The only challenge with Alberta is that it's extremely cold. It's extremely frigid. The weather there is no joke at all. You know what I mean? That is the problem with Alberta. So this is a little bit of update that could help you to plan your travel journey to Canada, especially if you're picking your schools. Remember, if you're also the type who has all your documents checked and all your I's dotted properly and your T's crossed, your checklist right, you have your funds, this news might not make a bit of a difference, any much of a difference, especially if you can prove that you have the resources and the finances to take care of yourself. This will actually affect those whose applications are not considered probably to be strong enough. They are the ones who are probably likely going to be receiving a lot more visa refusals as compared to those who have stronger applications and strong documents to show that they're financially fit to actually, embark on this travel journey. They will likely probably not be affected. So that is it about the Indian announcement. Now, somewhere last year, or a little over a year ago, most provinces started taking steps to streamline the nursing evaluation or assessment process to make it more attractive to internationally trained nurses. Internationally trained nurses. Who are internationally trained nurses? Internationally trained nurses are people who receive their nursing training or education from outside of Canada and have met all the requirements to practice in their country or wherever they currently live as a countries of residence. Now, traditionally, Canada is not the easiest of provinces to actually apply to come here and work as a nurse. I believe that countries like the United Kingdom, UK, countries like the United States, and probably Australia and Germany have much easier transition processes for internationally trained nurses to relocate and work there. Canada's own is a very laborious process that could take years and years and years. You could actually go through that process for years and have no feedback, probably close to 5 years, 4 years. So therefore, even though it is a dream of a lot of internationally trained nurses who may have their NCLEX done and evaluations done to come here and work, that process there could be frustrating and may cause a lot of nurses to look at other countries such as the United States, the UK, Germany, and a few other countries in the global north. So in the last 2 years, what happened was that the shortage of nurses or health workers across Canada forced a lot of provinces to begin taking their leg or their foot off the pedal to say that, you know what, we recognize that there is a challenge. We recognize that there is a challenge, and the challenge is mostly bureaucracy, where bureaucracy means the amount of process or the number of processes that individuals have to go through in order to get their license transferred to practice here in a Canadian province or to get the necessary clearance to actually work here. It's a crazy process. Provinces like British Columbia were one of the first to start, followed by provinces like Nova Scotia, and then other provinces also started following. So what these provinces did was basically to put in a package and a procedure that actually made it a little bit easier for internationally trained nurses to apply and kind of bypass the national assessment level, which is the federal level of getting your your credentials evaluated and all of that to see if there is a gap between what you studied to get your nursing license in your country versus what we do in Canada. If that is the case, they would have recommended maybe a bridging program or some top-ups for you. Now, that process itself alone could take up to 2 years to get a feedback from the NNAS, right? So what a lot of provinces have done is kind of just to eliminate that section of the process, to say that, you know what, nurses can apply straight to us, and then we'll give them a fast track process to kind of, you know, to kind of help them to come in and then start working here. BC offers so many people options where they could even come and do a little bit of a top up, and then after the top up, they could get a clearance to actually do their NCLEX exams or their assessment, blah blah blah, and then migrate. Now, Nova Scotia also took steps. A lot of people were given a temporary license, a nursing license, to a foreign license, to kind of, you know, make it easy for them to move to Nova Scotia. However, that process itself is not a neatly smooth process without issues. Most of the provinces have not backed this up with enough commitment to make sure that people are moving into Canada within months. As we speak, there are so many Africans, especially Nigerians, who have gotten their license from Nova Scotia, temporary foreign license from Nova Scotia, and they don't know what next to do, or they are stuck. There are so many people who have also gotten some kind of clearances or green light from British Columbia and are still stuck with their next step. Some of them have been waiting for months and months and months, and they are wondering whether there will ever be a day where they get an email saying that you've been cleared, these are the supporting documents, go and probably do this, or maybe apply for this or this to support the travel into Canada so that you can come in here, do your necessary registration or NCLEX or whatever you need, and then start practicing with us if you satisfy the provincial requirements for practicing here. I just got off the phone with a woman from Liberia in West Africa, and she said she's been waiting too. She went through one of the provinces and she was hoping that things would be a little bit faster for her to move over. It's not. Some countries are actually getting some prioritization or priorities. In other words, some provinces are prioritizing some other countries ahead. For example, Philippines. It's not been that difficult for them to move over here, Filipino nurses. Provinces like Saskatchewan actually make the move to go there and lure Filipino nurses to bring them into work. And their process has not been that difficult as compared to other nurses from other parts of the world. So therefore, here is my suggestion. If you find yourself in this situation where you've been hoping that something good could come out of a province for you to migrate as a nurse, internationally trained nurse, and work, I want to tell you not to put all your eggs in one basket. You've been waiting for 1 year, isn't it? For BC to give you the clearance. You've been waiting for 1 year plus for another province to give you the clearance, isn't it? Within that 1 year, you could have actually moved to Canada as an international student studying a health-related program like PSW, what we call personal support worker, or you could have actually moved here to actually study courses like gerontology or any health-related program without doing another nursing program again. I'm here to tell you not to put all your eggs in one basket. You could be waiting for years. Those of you who have all your hope, I'm not saying you are not going to get it. I'm not saying it's not going to work. But I'm saying that you could potentially be waiting for another 2 years or another 1 more year. Because you've been waiting for 1 year already. Use the comment section and let me know. How long have you been waiting? 1 year. And you've gone through everything and you're waiting, isn't it? It takes an average of 3 months to get a student visa approved or a decision on a student visa if your documents are right and you meet eligibility criteria to apply. It takes an average of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, in some institutions even days or 1 month or 2 months to get a student admission acceptance letter from a school here in Canada. So therefore, if you have the resources, the proof of funds, the bank statements and financial documents right, whilst you are waiting on your go ahead or your green light to come in as a nurse and blah blah blah, do your NCLEX or whatever, how about targeting a 1 year school or a place where you can easily get a cheaper tuition to actually apply for that admission? Maybe within the next 1 month you get your admission, and then you gather your necessary documents and you apply for your visa. by virtue of being a nurse, there is a possibility that you could probably receive some kind of, because we do need a lot of nurses. So who knows? They might just make it easier for you nurses. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying. So why not use the education route if you really want to come here? Now, remember one of my predictions. My prediction is that next year or in the next election, this government in Canada will lose election. My prediction is that Donald Trump will come to power in the US. Not only Donald Trump, my prediction also is that in Canada, the current Liberal government will lose election and the Conservatives will come to power. That's my prediction. And there are so many reasons why I have my predictions like that. Now, the Liberals are the ones who are known for aggressive immigration policies, bringing in more people. We are in 2024. We have 12 more months to enter 2025. Election year, you see, look at it. 2024 already, you are hearing news of capping international student enrollment. 2024, you are hearing news of this and that and that. This is the year of pressure. Because this is a final year for them to fine-tune things and see if they can get things right. If they don't, well, voters or Canadian voters are already angry at them. So the likelihood that they are going out of office or losing the election is even higher. I know they will go out of office just because I believe they will. Based on how things have played out in the last few years, I know they will go out of power. I just believe they'll go out of power. And I just believe that Donald Trump, unless they frustrate that man, Donald Trump is still coming back to power. Now, these are two governments or two political parties that are not the most friendly of immigration governments. So therefore, if you do not make all your moves this year and you wait till next year, what if things begin getting, you know what I mean, when they begin tightening things up a little bit? And then you'll be like, whoa, I should have acted a little bit more earlier. Isn't it? Now, the same way I did some videos and I told you to apply to some schools as soon as you can, blah, blah, blah. You saw what happened? I told you everything. I told you, when I do a video about this school, there is going to be traffic. And when there is traffic, this is what will happen. Everything I've said, you know it happened. When I did videos about new blah, 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 community college, what happened? Didn't I tell you it will happen? Did it not happen? It did. Now you know Ghana, Nigeria said it cannot even apply. But so when we say things here, sometimes we speak the way we speak because we live in a country. We are not foreigners who live outside. We live here. We know the system. So that's the same way I'm telling you. Next year, immigration could change in North America completely. It's never been even easy getting a visitor's visa. But in the last 12 months alone, we've seen that it's been one of the easiest for almost everybody to get. Even people without proof of funds were all getting it. But has it always been easy? No. And when the visitor visa thing started, I hinted at one too. I said, look, if you guys remember my old videos from several months ago, I said, it looks like they've been dishing the visitor visa to people already. This is the time for anybody to get those visas. I did it. But then we are now approaching the lean season, where the effects of the mass number of people coming in is beginning to get serious. People are coming, they are not getting accommodation. People are coming, they are in the news. People are coming, they are seeking asylum. People are coming, they are doing this. International students are coming, they are seeking asylum instead of going to school. People are coming. So government begins to now look at it. They make the tactical move now to take Mr. Fraser, right, from there. And then they brought Mr. Miller. And remember what I said about Mr. Miller? I said, I don't think he will be the most pro-immigration person. And I was right. At least you can see from some of the things that, look, you know, it is not your usual Mr. Fraser where every day there is a new policy update. There is a new policy to bring in. What are you saying? Capping, conversations. What are you saying? This, compliance, doing this, looking at the levels, looking at this. I said all of that. I said it. So therefore, if you are an internationally trained nurse and you've been waiting for these green lights, ask yourself this question. What prevents me from applying for a one-year program to come and study? Maybe it's a bank statement. Can I have that aspect sorted out? If yes, just make sure you don't go for a fake bank statement from an agent. I don't recommend those things. You know that. Whilst I'm waiting, what if I use the next 4 months to try the student route? You may possibly get. In fact, there is a nurse from Ghana. She arrived about a week ago. And she was also hoping to go to different countries like the US and a few other places, hoping to also get the same thing I'm talking about. But then she and her husband decided I will try the student route. Boom. In fact, before they put in the application, I remember when they spoke with me the first time, I said, Choco, we want to try it. We want to put this in. What do you think? I said, go for it. Then they looked like they were prepared, you know. In no time, visa was approved. As we speak, the woman has arrived here. I'm already having conversations with her about how she can quickly do her NCLEX exams, you know, to quickly get her license, so that it makes it even easier for her to kind of put in some applications for nursing jobs with some of the government levels and so. But it's all about planning. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. What does it mean? Relying on one immigration strategy or policy or pathway, when in actual essence, you may have been eligible for other pathways too. There are some of you who are eligible for more than one pathway. There are some of you, your options are really narrow, just one. If you're an educated nurse, your options are not just coming in to work as a nurse. Your option could also be coming as a student. In fact, some of you may even try even the visitor's visa route to, and it could work. Just know that the visitor route requires a lot of creative work if you really want to transition from that to something else when you arrive in Canada. You know, otherwise the options are many. So don't put all your eggs. Because if you put all your eggs on a particular province giving you and it doesn't happen, in 2024, the year of election in Ghana, my country, the next year, or 2024, the year of election in the US, where so many things can happen, in the year where we have so much war and stuff going on, man, you know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Yeah, the passport life, guys. Before you consider applying for asylum, talk to a lawyer who will. I'm reading the comments, by the way, from the passport life, guys. Before you consider applying for asylum, talk to a lawyer who will tell you the requirements. Because if you apply and get denied, you may have to leave the country right away. Do your homework. 100% approve this message. Anybody who wants to seek asylum should probably be talking to experts like immigration lawyers who actually assess asylum cases and represent people. They are probably the ones who could look at your case and tell you if you have a good case or you don't have a good case, so that you don't waste your time. Good. That's a good advice. That's a good suggestion there, I would say. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video. There are a few other things I'd like to talk about, but as usual, I do not want to keep this video too long, so I'm going to cut this video right now. I will probably come your way with another video with an update on something that could be of importance to you. Meanwhile, it's been snowing in Canada, extremely snowy. In the last 4 or 5 days, we've been battered by snow. My camera focus is not really, I don't know why. I wanted you to see. So what you're seeing people do is that they're making the most of the snow, brought their kids out, and they are enjoying the snow. You know, they're sledding, people are having a good time. Should probably bring my kids here later on so that they can also come and do the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. When it snows, you make the most of it. Families are here having a good time, just waiting for my kids to cruise, and I also bring them here so that we can have a good time too, right? Yeah. We've been hit by snow for the last 5 days, straight 5 days in a row, snowing every day, and it stopped about an hour or two ago and it started again, but it's not so intense yet, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching. Drop your likes, hit a like, make sure you're subscribing. Whenever I bring an update, you'll be able to see it. Drop your comments as well. Let me know what you think about the video today. All right. Otherwise, what you heard today is a massive drop in enrollment for international students from India. There could be so many reasons that we don't know yet. I read my own speculation, which is not official information, but my own speculation. It could mean that other continents or other countries could be having a lot more visa approvals, or it could also mean that you may not be seeing a lot more visa approvals from certain provinces, as these provinces are noted to have higher compliance issues when it comes to students coming and getting all the support and, you know, a whole lot of things. So therefore, if you apply, you could be tactical or strategic with where you choose to study. I also mentioned that internationally trained nurses, most of you have been waiting privately. Some of you have not even disclosed this to your friends, but you've gotten some kind of, you've gotten yourself into applications for certain provinces. You've gotten temporary licenses in Nova Scotia or BC and a few other places. You're hoping to come. It could be a long process. My suggestion is that you activate a plan B. Find out if you are eligible for another type of immigration program. If yes, will it be quick? Will it be faster? Especially if you are desperate to actually be in this country soon, and use that to your advantage. God bless you and thanks for watching. My name is Choco Millionaire. Take care. Bye-bye.